Welcome into another edition of Bourbon South. Chase Parham, Steve Thomason here with you today, Branchwater Bourbon House here in Oxford, as we have a pretty cool special episode today. Obviously, we're bourbon guys, going to talk a ton of bourbon, but hey, we like all spirits, and in saying that, we love Wonderbird as well. Tom Alexander joining us from Wonderbird here in Lafayette County. We'll call it Oxford, whatever we call it. So if you're watching the video, you're catching us live. If not, podcast form. Get that all the places that you get your podcast. We appreciate you so far, as the listens have been great. The feedback's been great. Keep bringing feedback. Follow us on social media. We're going to have more of that available, and a contest coming soon as well. So a lot of stuff coming for you here at Bourbon South, but really just appreciate you in so many different ways to this point, as this is one more episode in our trying bourbons, trying different alcohols, and seeing what you like and what we like in the process as well. So today, Tom, thanks for being with us and bringing some samples as well as some good conversation today.
Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here. This will be fun.
So big fans of Wonderbird for a long time. We'll kind of go through the course of the show. We'll talk about your different spirits, talk about things that are available and where they are. You got some pretty cool stuff though here with us today. I guess give people a quick rundown of, especially for the people not watching the video, what's in front of us and what did you bring along for the ride today?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk about it. I knew we were talking about Bourbon South, so I wanted to bring a selection that fit into that context. It just so happens that we do a lot of fun barrel projects, mostly with used bourbon barrels. I brought one, I guess, that's got a double oaked bourbon situation tie in there, with Blanton's and a Peerless barrel. That one's the longest one we've ever aged for almost 500 days. So wow. It's got a lot of character from those barrels, and I'm excited for us to get to try that. We always kind of talk, it's half jokingly, we get a lot of people coming into the tasting room that from this part of the world, you get a lot of bourbon drinkers, and not a lot of kind of hardcore gin drinkers. We sort of look at these barrel projects in a way as an on-ramp to get people interested in gin, because I can't tell you the number of times that we've had, husband and wife come in, and the wife loves to drink gin. The husband's just kind of sitting there with his arms folded and says, I don't drink gin. and I'll say, well, we have aged this one for almost 2 years in a bourbon barrel, and it's got a lot of bourbon character. Yeah. And he's like, well, let me try it. I'll try it. And next thing I know, they're walking out with a case of it. So we love having that tie-in and getting people interested in gin through bourbon. So that's kind of cool to me.
So let me raise my right hand, and so I'm guilty. Tom got me, and I can't remember. It's been quite a few years ago we met, but we're actually in the tailgate together in the Grove. Yeah. And so Tom and I was talking to my love for bourbon, and we're discussing. And he's like, gin. I knew he was Wonderbird gin. I'm like, gin. And he goes, I'm going to bring you a gin, and we're going to change that. And he brought one of your first ones that was finished in a bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
What was the first one you ever
First one was Four Roses.
Yeah.
That came from...
and I think maybe you and I sipped, I don't know, somehow he brought me one, sipped on it. I'm like, oh, okay. I like gin. This is not bad. I know y'all's gin's a little different recipe. Yeah. And you can talk about that, but I'm guilty. I don't like gin, and then once I had this, I can sit here and drink this and eat all day long.
It's the interesting thing, because I guess familiar with your company a long time ago. We used to do the events with Blue Delta back 5, 6, 7 years ago. Right. Go out to the distillery and have a good time and have the big events out there. And I've told people always, even if you don't like gin, try Wonderbird's gin. There's a difference to it. It is completely different because I think it's like anything else. We come into spirits when we're younger and we get the cheap stuff or this stuff, and it's gin that's harsh is really harsh. Like it's a totally different characteristic there on your palate. And I think it's just like really bad bourbon or whiskey or anything else that you got to kind of know what you're doing. So I will start with that. I guess, why gin, and what is it that appeals to you so much with gin?
There's a lot of reasons. There's some pragmatic reasons. When you're starting a business, you don't have to age it, right? So you can realize revenues faster because you don't have that long aging process. So there are those pragmatic considerations that make doing a clear spirit work for a new business, right? But the truth of the matter is, when we started this business, we incorporated back in 2017. We went onto the market in 2019. We did 2.5 years of R&D and research and that kind of stuff to kind of get it where we felt like we were ready to go into the market. At that time, and even now, the bourbon space, especially in this part of the world, is a really crowded space. There's a lot of people doing it really well. One of the things that I think was really important for all of us was embracing being from Mississippi here, right? And like really trying to lift Mississippi up and highlight its assets. And one of those assets is its diversity of flora. It's proximity to the Mississippi River and millennia of this silt being deposited here has given it this soil that's incredible. It's got the perfect climate to encourage diversity of flora. The best spirit in the world to present flora and a diversity of flora is gin. I mean, that's literally, it's kind of raised into etra. So that really gave us so much creative latitude. I think that's the main reason we wanted to go. And with gin, it's also just got a great place in classic cocktail culture, right? I mean, it's what James Bond drinks, right? So it's got a great history and culture to it. We loved all those elements, and then when we realized we could do it with rice and incorporate rice grown here in Mississippi, what we used to create our base alcohol with, and incorporate some of that Japanese culture of sake making into it, which is something we all had an interest in. Traveled to Japan and loved the attention to detail with which they execute sake making practices, as well as culinary culture there. So all those things combined made us love that spirit, and we continue to just love it and love the creativity it allows us to use.
So take me through a rudimentary version of how it is made. I mean, just your standard gin, whichever one you want to tell the brief profile of. When you say it doesn't have to be aged, what is the beginning to end process from a distillery standpoint?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I will caveat this by saying that ours is not really representative of how most gin is done. For the most part, a lot of, particularly with clear spirits, craft makers in the United States nowadays are not fermenting their own alcohol. It was important to us to ferment our own because we wanted to use local ag produce. Using rice presents particularly more nuance and challenges to that fermentation process. Without getting too far into the weeds, basically what we're doing is we're making sake, but when you are fermenting rice, you have these challenges by the fact that milled rice has lost a portion of its grain called the germ, which has all of your amylase enzymes in it. That's important in the context of fermentation, because that is what breaks down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. That has to happen in order for it to be fermentable. So millennia ago, the sake makers figured out that they can grow this mycelium, a fungus, on a portion of their grain and reintroduce that. So we do that in-house now. So we grow a mold called koji. It's used in lots of different food processes for making everything from soy sauce to miso to tofu to you can tenderize meat. We actually grow a portion of the rice that goes into every batch, a colony of that mold on it to introduce the enzyme that we need. So phase one is that fermentation process that ends up with a sake. It's about 13% alcohol by volume at the end of it, so we get a pretty good yield on that, and that's because we get a good result from that enzyme that we've added in by growing that koji on the rice. Second stage is where we're going to distill all the alcohol out of that sake, and we go through three different types of distillations, basically trying to rectify it and purify it all the way to an almost neutral spirit. In our case, we take our base spirit to about 94% alcohol before we then proof it back down, put it in the final distillation step where the pot still gets fed with the base spirit that we've created, heated up to where the vapors pass through what's called a gin basket that's inside of the column that the vapors pass through, and that's how the flavors become imbued into the alcohol. In our case, we do each of our different botanicals individually and collect that individually flavored, like juniper berries is in every gin. So the juniper flavored distillate in its own dedicated tank.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll do the same thing for, the rosemary, and we'll collect the rosemary flavor, distill it in its own tank, and so on. We have 10 different botanicals in our flagship gin, so 10 different tanks, each with a different. That's also unique to our process. Most gin makers that do dry vapor distillation would put all of the botanicals in at once, run those vapors through at the same time, and then what they have coming out is their gin. We take ours individually and then blend them, and that gives us what we feel to be a better control of quality and consistency, and quite honestly, better depth to the flavors.
Your gin is excellent. It also is Steve's favorite word is smooth. It's very smooth.
It is.
Of course, of whatnot. Is it the quality of the floor? I mean, what makes good gin from bad gin, if you will, in a real simple way?
The base, to me, the base spirit is
Okay.
is like super important. And
Okay.
in our case, it's really unique because it uses rice. There are only 3 gins in the world that we know of made out of a rice-based alcohol. The other 2 are Japanese ones, and they were ones that we knew about when we were getting started and loved, and felt like if they can make gins this good out of a rice-based spirit, then we want to do that. And so that's something that's, in my opinion, one of the real distinctive differentiators for our gin. But yeah, I mean, your distilling process has to be clean. You have to know, when to make your cuts. You have to. I think the fact that we do each of ours botanical distillations individually helps us take cuts at different places where the specific botanical tastes the best. Because some taste better at the beginning of a run, some taste better at the end of a run. If you're doing them all in the pot at the same time, you just kind of got to take what's in the middle and hope, for the best. But with our process, even though it's a lot more work, it gives us a lot finer control to take the best parts of the expression of every one of those botanicals.
So it's time to pop a bottle, but as I'm going to lead into that, tell me from that process to how we get with the green bottle here. It is double oak.
Yeah.
It is your gin inside a Blanton and Peerless barrel at that point. So what's A to B on that?
Yeah, so A to B on that is we've created our flagship gin, which is gin number 61, the one I was referring to that has 10 different botanicals. We create it just like we would if we were going to put it into the bottle and sell it at the at the restaurant or the store. The only difference is we leave it at a higher proof to put it into the barrel. We barrel everything at about 114 proof, which I think is fairly standard, even for for whiskeys. And it just sits there, and we taste it every month or two for maturity and for the influence that's coming from the barrel, and that's what you see. And so in these, you'll notice in these are not clear spirits anymore. They're they're colored from that barrel.
So y'all, I'm curious. So you don't have a time set. I love this. There's no time set. Y'all are tasting it until you go, boom, got it. Let's go.
That's right. Yeah, every barrel that we get is.
Can I be a part of that process?
Yeah,
please.
I would love to have y'all be part of it. No, but every one is a different provenance from every barrel story that we do. They're from different distilleries. They're from different backgrounds, all of them, and we'll see later that some of these are not even bourbon barrels. That'll be fun. But
Chase,
it's time.
Is it time to drink?
Yeah. Let's start with this one. So to let everybody know, we brought a Peerless barrel pick in as well, and that is so we can compare to the Peerless that the gin was in also, Steve.
Right. No, and the cool thing about this is the Peerless barrel that this gin rested in was what this juice came out of, and I was a part of that barrel pick.
So we have a direct relative
absolutely.
here to this.
And let me tell you right now, one of my favorite barrel picks I've ever done, Corky up there at Peerless, is so awesome. Such a good guy. Loved visiting with him. He liked having some Mississippi boys up there. In fact, we were doing the tasting. It was supposed to last about an hour. 3 hours later, he's still telling guys, bring these boys some more to taste in here. So, But,
let's
awesome.
start with the gin that was in the barrel, and then we'll go to the Peerless. Let's do it that way. So let's pour it.
Yeah, so the gin that I'll pour is this is actually our new gin. This is not the gin that went into that particular barrel, but this is our first foray into what I will describe as a traditional dry style, London dry style of gin. Basically what that means is that it's going to be a little more juniper forward in its botanical profile.
So you're saying this is what James Bond puts in his shaken,
well,
not stirred.
It depends on which James Bond movie you're watching. Sometimes he messes up and orders vodka.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's a sin, right? That is the ultimate sin.
Don't watch those.
So the recipe is simply different on a dry gin, because I think I know what it's going to taste like, even though I haven't had this exact thing. Yeah. It's that. It's going to be
my nose that sometimes struggles is picking up a lot right now.
It's going to be that heavy juniper note. We going through our research with this.
So someone just starting out trying to learn gin, this would not be the way to probably start, because it's going to have a little more pucker to it. Or
I would say this was developed to be more along the lines of those classic oldies that have been around for 200 years, like Beefeater and Tanqueray and those guys that are kind of like your classic gin cocktail workhorse type gins. That's what this was designed to be like. Our first ones, knowing that we weren't in a part of the world where we had a ton of like hardcore gin drinkers, we did more in a contemporary style, which backed off of that juniper note and featured other botanicals more prominently, so that we could appeal to make it a bit more approachable and appeal to more broad audience.
And actually, probably then a little better on the palate for somebody drinking it neat.
I'd say for a sipper, it's going to be more of a sipper. The other one, the Gin 61, yeah.
Are there certain cocktails that the dry gin holds up in better or worse than the traditional gin?
If you're looking to build a martini, build a gin and tonic, and just use a classic recipe. In other words, don't tailor it to the gin. Just get it straight out of the book or whatever. This is the way to go.
So if my home bar has one gin, that's the gin you would think I should put on the table.
Now, the other one is good, and it's like Steve said, it's so good, like you almost hate to put anything in it. It's so good, like on a rock.
That's the first time I had it. I had it with a cube, and it shocked me. It really did. The problem with us doing this podcast is in my travels, every now and then I'll travel with somebody that likes gin instead of bourbon. So as soon as any of the guys I work with see this, then if I'm going on a job with them and I don't bring one of these bottles,
you got to take a bottle with you.
Super trouble now.
So what do you get in this, Steve? I mean, like obviously, I couldn't have told you juniper was the thing, but
the two things jump out. The juniper just on the nose, I think it's so heavy on the nose. I know I'm going to taste it when I drink it. And then the second thing is you get it heavy on the front end. And then to me, it's almost like, I don't know if bitter is the right word.
You feel that tingle on the tongue?
And then it just shuts down and goes smooth. It's here and then just boom. It wraps around and that's it.
So one thing that I find interesting anyway, when we were going through our R&D process, which is, it's very, very regimented in the way we change one variable at a time, so we know exactly what every change is responsible for in the flavor. When we were trying to figure out what is it about classic London Dries that we really like so much, we intuitively thought it was the juniper. What we learned over months of doing it was there was actually another botanical that was giving a mentholic effect.
Or get minty out of it, yeah.
And so that mentholic thing that you feel like on the kind of finish when it's just kind of like tingly on your tongue, for us that comes from a couple of mentholic elements that are fairly unusual. Well, lemongrass is one, celery seed is the other.
Oh wow!
I just found the lemongrass. I did not
never
find the
could have come up
celery
with
seed.
that.
Yeah, no, but now that you say that, I wanted to say minty, but like a lemon mint, which makes more sense.
Yeah,
Chase, thoughts?
That's my favorite thing in gin is that menthol. Like that is absolutely
it reminds
the
me
thing.
of a rye
It's heavier. That's my favorite thing in them. Like that's the one that gets me.
That's what punches through that tonic when you're having gin and tonic, right? And that's like when you finish the sip and you finish tasting the tonic and the quinine in that tonic, and then you still got that tingle on your tongue. That's what that is. And a lot of gins, in my opinion, introduce that mentholic with something that tastes a little overly heavily licorice in flavor, like anise and even.
I don't get that here.
Yeah, and we really wanted to go away from that, and we found the celery seed gave us just the right kind of almost savoriness to it, but without that licorice taste.
See, that's where my palate. We talk about it. My palate. I grew up. I love sweets. So I pick up on heavy sweets.
Yeah.
I'll pick up on fruits. Spices are my weakness, and then savory is a weakness for me picking out.
I think gin, drinking some would actually enhance our palates for that in bourbon. I think we would start picking out more spices and herbs and things along those lines.
Doing exercises like this is like exactly to me how we've tried to build our palates, where we do things side by side, right? And you learn, okay, well, this is more this and more that, and I don't know, you kind of just start to build a vocabulary of it. Sort of.
You all take turns like letting somebody win on like whose profile gets that little section of it, because you're not all going to like exactly the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a group process where we try to do everything independently, so we don't have a group think going on.
Oh, I love that.
So
smart. Yeah,
we will do our tastings and write our notes down without talking about it, and then come back and compare. And then you decide, as I mentioned, like change one variable for each recipe, so we know exactly what the change was between number 27 and number 28, and did that improve it or did it not improve it? And what are our impressions of things that need to be improved, or what do we want to not lose or whatever? So it's not so much a competition, and I think we do it in such a way that we try to make it very scientific and repeatable, and we do all of our ultimate tests like blind, double blind, because we do really want to take ego out of it. Like we want this to be objective.
So blind's the way to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because you better believe you are influenced by
everything.
Just like bourbon. If Chase said, "All right, Steve, we're gonna put E.H. Taylor,
and we're gonna do some of these contests soon.
And then a Crittenden's, and we're gonna line them up here," I would feel so much pressure to pick which one I thought was best, influenced all these things, instead of just sitting there, without any influence at all.
You don't know what label was on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because you would be fairly embarrassed if you go, "Nope, I picked the whatever off the shelf," and instead of that great 1792 I really like, you go, "I'll be damned."
So I've got a buddy I worked with over in Libya last year, and he's lives out in Texas. Is part owner of a winery in Seattle, but he shipped me 4 little bottles yesterday. And they're like high-end bottles he got, and some different stuff. He goes,
really?
He goes, but I didn't tell you what they were. I'm like,
that's great.
So we'll actually maybe even try them. But yeah, I'm like, dang it, now. And he probably snuck just a very plain bourbon in there to see if I would go, oh, that's the best bourbon I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the barrel pick process at Peerless as we get ready to open that one up.
So it's great. It's like most of the barrel picks that you do on the Bourbon Trail. You're going to go in and we did an Old Elk one actually for the Branchwater here for the Bourbon Club, and they rolled barrels out for us. We went to the warehouse, and it was awesome. That's not usually how they do it. I think with these guys at Peerless, they brought in maybe 5. They tapped 5 barrels. I think Aaron had told them, we did it with High Cotton, kind of the profile he was looking for. So they're going to bring in, 5 different bottles. They tap from those, and they're just going to walk you through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it was 6 of us on that pick, and and we just worked around and talked through them. And so even though we're blind, we don't know which barrels we're tasting. There's still a lot of commentary. We typically, with those groups, we kind of tend to talk it out.
Right.
Sometimes everybody keeps their comments to themselves, and they declare which one is which. I do remember this bottle. We went around and talked, and it was unanimous. Just absolutely loved it. Peerless is one of those distilleries. Hadn't been around as long as the others, but man, they came out and they're like, we're going to do our juice. I think they started putting it out at 4 years, and you're going, wow, if it's this good at 4, what's it going to be at 5? What's going to be at 6, 7, 8? And you're getting into that now. And it's just a bunch of good guys.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed our time with them.
I haven't tried that yet, so I'm excited.
Right now, let's pour that one up, and then we'll go to the one that rested in that barrel afterward.
Are we using those?
Oh yeah,
let's use those. Everybody likes the sound effects apparently on the podcast. I get that a lot.
Oh yeah,
the glasses and
and I tell you, something. I was over at High Cotton today earlier. Peerless put out a double oak. Chase, my feelings and your feelings on Woodford double oak. The Peerless double oaked right now is it's available. At first, when it started coming out, you could only get it, special times. It's out now. It's pretty much out on the shelves, and it's a really good pour.
So it's obviously single barrel Peerless,
Yeah.
110.8 proof on this one is what it is.
Now, here's the deal. It's one of those, they've always, they've never had that $40 or $50 bottle from day one. Their bottles were $80, $90 up, and that turned some people off, and I get that.
Because of the age.
Oh, I understand that you're going, I'm paying $80, $90 for your bourbon, but I'll say this, they're one of the distilleries that when they're putting out that young stuff, it's really good.
It smells good.
Yeah, it's worth it. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Good to have you here, Tom.
Really good to be here. Yeah, that's nice. That's really good. That's really good.
There's a light nose on that, barely anything. Oh, wow.
It's not heavy, sweet.
See, to me, that's tons of baking spices, and that's completely the profile. There's nothing sweet on that. There's nothing even really fruity on that for
Well,
me.
I think it's vanilla sweet. I think there's vanilla sweet in
Okay.
there, but I do think there's spice. I get some mint. It has. I tell you what I love about it. And after you let it sit there a little bit, I start getting a little chocolate. I don't get molasses. I don't get any of the heavier sweets, but the finish on it is nice. It just
It's long and lingering
I'm
and
still
light.
tasting it right now.
I feel like it's got a little orange peel, maybe, that I'm getting on there. I definitely feel like there's a more of a citrus element to this than most bourbons that I drink, and I dig that. I mean, I don't know if that.
I think I'm getting that.
You know
Once
what?
you said it, I wouldn't have been able to grab that.
And I think in my mind, I was thinking about another barrel that I thought was going to be heavy, sorghum, molasses, just, that super sweet. And this one's not. And I love this
It's real light. I like that.
one. And you're right. Not fruity, but citrus.
Yeah. Yeah, not
not
the
sweet
sweet
fruit.
part of an orange. I'm talking like the peel, like you get when you smell that peel. I get some of that.
Oh, so I'm not a cocktail guy, and you know that, but I love your cocktails in the Grove.
Thank you.
All the games. What do you think about an old fashioned with that?
With this one,
Yeah.
incredible. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think it'd be.
Now that you mentioned the orange peel,
Yeah.
Now I'm picking up the orange.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things when I do have old fashions, they can tend to be overly sweet for me.
Yeah.
For my
Oh,
palate.
you got to watch that.
That's
Yeah.
why I use rye almost exclusively.
Yeah. But this would work. Because
What do you think,
of
Chase?
that.
It would run the risk of being a little light for me personally with an old fashioned because it's some kind of the same reason. I want to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I mostly drink Manhattans and Sazeracs because I want to get a little more
Yeah.
oomph in it. But yeah, it's not going to give you that honey, that molasses as you
Right.
call it. It's not doing that, so it would be a potential. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a really good house bourbon for somebody who wanted old fashions.
Ooh, interesting.
Be a
little expensive for a house
yeah,
bourbon.
a little bit. Yeah. Well, I kind of got that on the. We're taping this September 23rd for anybody that's curious at this point. I got that on Saturday because we had a thread on the message board and like, hey, what's everybody drinking or whatever, and I'd said Dram. I was doing the midwinters or whatever, and they were making fun of the price point on that, and I'm like, well, I'm not having the whole bottle, just having just having a little sip, having a little drink here.
Oh, that's right. Somebody gave you a bottle of that.
They
the other
did.
day,
Steve
didn't
might
they?
have handed me a bottle of that.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Rise Forever, Tom, and the price point has now gotten to where you're not picking that up by the case
Is that
anymore.
right?
So yeah, it's.
I feel like a lot of my favorites have gone that way. Where
There was a day where that was very manageable, and that day has passed. So yeah, we were no longer there. But no, this is
Chase, somewhere back in these bottles, there's a Peerless Rye.
Is
Or
there?
maybe back in the vault, yeah. And I've never, just not being the cocktail guy, I've never done it.
so speaking of, we have 2 barrels of Peerless Rye with gin in them right now.
Oh, interesting.
Not quite a year old. The gin in it, but those will come out probably in a year or 2.
And all right, those weren't barrel picks. That's just
No, we got those. I think we got them through a broker. Actually, we typically don't do that, but
Right.
we loved this one so much that we're like, we need to get our hands on some more Peerless barrels.
all right. Well, you know what? Speaking of this one, and he pointed at it. I think we need to talk about it and sip.
Yeah, it'd be good to sit them next to each other
Yeah.
too. I think so you could.
So this is the gin that was sitting in a
So that
Peerless,
was
then Blanton's, or vice versa. Which
Blanton's first,
Okay.
and then Peerless to finish it and soften it. And this is so. You asked, the first one that we did was the Four Roses.
Right.
And we only went 75 days on it because we were scared to death of screwing it up.
Oh, yeah.
And so as soon as it tasted good, we're like, okay, let's bottle it.
In.
And by the time we got to our third one and our fourth one, this is our fourth one, I think we had gained some confidence.
Yeah.
And so that's why we went, a little shy of 2 years on this one.
That's bold. I love that.
And decided to, but yeah, we had to work our way up
Right.
to that. I mean, they went from 75 days to like 112 days, because we're just scared to death that we're going to have to throw away a, 53-gallon batch of that beautiful stuff.
So you know what I equate that to, Chase? So you're a head coach, you're an assistant coach. He's not afraid to let you coach. Doesn't have to have his thumb on you. He's not
let it
afraid.
go.
Has confidence in his program that everything's good. So here's a man that's confident in his gin. He's not afraid to stretch it, push it, go a little further, see where it goes.
After the first two went okay, then I built up some confidence. But that's interesting to drink that back to back. I mean, it's definitely still the gin.
It's my the bourbon finishes are my favorite. This is the favorite thing y'all do that I love. But
See,
I know exactly,
Yeah.
and I know I'm a bourbon guy, so that maybe has at least partially why. But it is, as I mentioned, that menthol, that mint, like it's just so punching you.
Yeah.
It is a. I've said this in the best compliment I can give. It is a cocktail in a glass by itself.
Thanks.
It is fantastic.
No, it is. And now I just want to go get a cube and throw it in here, but it is. Actually, I can sit here and that's interesting to taste. I don't want to drink that neat.
I understand.
And we talked about
that's
that.
not what
It's a
for.
it's a cocktail.
That's right.
This,
All
I'll
day.
drink that neat all day long.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I love being able to do it next to that.
That is
from
interesting.
the same barrel, because you can definitely taste that same orangey thing in both of them, in my opinion, and I think that's cool.
What are you picking up in this?
It's a lot sweeter than the bourbon.
It is.
I think that sweetness still comes from. This is just my take on it, from that red clover flower that's in that gin number 61. It gives it almost like a honey note to it, so I get a lot of that. But then when it finishes, I still do get that kind of, I don't know, it's a citrusy feeling on my tongue that's a little bit like I described what I was getting from this. The Peerless.
Just from a straight drinkability, it is better than the bourbon, and it's not close. It really is.
Well, it's a little lower proof.
It is. It's an easy drink.
Right.
It's 100 proof. But yeah, I mean,
Don't be scared of it for anybody out there that sticks it there 90, 92.
No.
It is going to drink easier at 100 than bourbon will at 95, depending on what it is.
So the two things that jump out at me is I think the citrus really kicks in on this.
Yeah.
It does.
As you said, citrus on this, and then I do get honey middle, and then the finish is really, really good. It's got a good lingering. The honey kind of stays with you through the finish.
There's a sweetness to the finish.
It keeps it soft, right?
Well, no. So it's still got the gin there, but it's like the best of two worlds.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. That was cool. I liked getting those next to each other.
Was there a certain flavor profile that once you had done it one time, you wanted to be in these once it was there?
You got to kind of know what you can and can't control. And what comes out of the barrel, you can't control much of like the profile that's coming out. And so what we try to do is balance the influence from the barrel and keeping it to where we can still tell it's our gin.
That's a good point.
But still have, so we can drink that and we can pick up the notes from our gin, but have enough. I guess we try to toe the line, like get as much of that bourbon character in there without making it just taste like a straight bourbon, because then it's like, what are we doing?
Right.
Why?
We're making a bourbon. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's really the I guess tightrope that we're trying to walk, is like, let's pull as much in as we can where it's still really interesting and adding those elements from that barrel, but not overwhelming it to the point that it now just tastes like a bourbon light.
It has made it where I'm doing them back to back. It has sweetened this for me even.
Oh, no.
I'm having them back and forth,
I'm like, it's sweet now.
the Peerless is all that honey and stuff is coming out now.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting, the palate, when you jump back and forth like that. And again, I think my declaration, the best of two worlds right there. Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I see a couple of little bottles there as well.
Yeah, so these are fun. I'm excited about these.
If you're watching our video, if you're just listening to our podcast, turn on the video. Go find it on YouTube. It's on our channel. You'll be able to at least see the things that we're working with right here, even if you don't listen to the entire show on YouTube.
Well, so the first one I'm gonna pour for us and introduce here is, this has been in a Laird's Apple Brandy barrel. This is our flagship gin. For about 200 days as of today. And I just pulled this out of the barrel about an hour and a half ago.
I love it. Bourbon South, cutting edge, baby.
Yeah.
Cutting edge.
So this is really interesting. We came into this concept.
I've rinsed it. I'm already clean. I already did the little water wash.
We came into this concept
Beautiful.
thanks to
the little water wash right there.
Water wash. So this is thanks to
I can already tell.
Gina Hoover, who is our esteemed brand ambassador. She works for Cure in New Orleans. They've won the James Beard Award like 3 or 4 times. She built a gin and tonic with our flagship gin, and she tailored the gin and tonic recipe around our gin to play with what complemented it, and she put a 1/4 ounce of Laird's apple brandy into it, and it's now on our house menu. It's available every day. If you come into the distillery, you can have one. And we were so enamored by the drink and the complexity of what it did to our gin and tonic with that gin, that we thought we need to just put our gin into that barrel. And so we bought 2 of those barrels, and we're about to bottle this next month. In fact,
next month. Okay.
In fact, I think maybe next week.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the end of the month is coming up.
But you mentioned having this down at the distillery. So what do we have going on down at the distillery now?
In the barrels?
No.
General.
Oh,
in general.
We
have a bar there.
Well, we have a bar there.
All right.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yes, we recently, I'd say 9 months ago, finished our construction project where we expanded. We tripled the size of our space. We still have our original tasting room bar, but we've now added on a lot of production space. We've added a gift shop. We've added some, catering space, because we're trying to do events now, and we want to get people out there like on the Friday before a football game, and we're trying to market that as an event option now for private parties and that kind of thing. Thursday nights, we've been doing this since December of last year. Every Thursday night from 5 to 8 o'clock, we do reservation only bar service. That's where you come in, and we have not only our kind of house cocktail menu, which is a fairly short menu, but we have weekly specials that change, and they're seasonally fun, and they're always really creative. And we have these great people to help us make these cocktails, like Gina Hoover that I was just talking about, thanks to her. And we have Mason who works at St. Leo here in town. He's now helping us make cocktails. Some really creative minds. Anyway, it's fun. It's intimate, and it's a kind of a little getaway from the busy downtown area during the football game weekend.
So you're saying Taylor, Mississippi is not quite as busy as the square on a football weekend?
We're trying to
make it be so.
So you know what I heard, Chase? I heard a Bourbon South event down there sometimes. What I heard,
record something down there. Little tour of the place.
You know, you have a standing invitation.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
Cheers. So this is the Laird's.
So apple brandy is what it was.
Apple brandy, and I believe.
And it was your flagship spirit in here.
That's right, and I believe Laird's is the oldest distillery in America. in,
Oh,
in
wow.
New York. Yeah, and they only use apples from Virginia, which is.
What is your nose here, Steve? What are you getting on this smell?
I still get the juniper.
Yeah, I don't think I would have said apple if you had just told me to guess it.
I get juniper and
Oh,
that's a very when he says oh, it's interesting. So
I take a minute. Yeah. O is when it's unexpected. That's people on the podcast know we just go silent for a minute. That's fine.
that is not what I expected.
Not even a little bit.
Let me tell you right now, I'll drink this neat all day long.
Right. I mean, it's 114 proof in the.
I think I want it chilled. This is the first one that I think I want chilled.
And I probably would
with
really
a rock
like it
or
chilled.
something.
So do y'all ever do that? Do you ever tell somebody, hey, throw your bottle in the freezer? Can you
Absolutely,
do that?
yes. In fact, we do when we do tastings out there, and we keep the bottles that we use for tastings chilled, not in the freezer, but in the refrigerator.
Fridge.
Now we do, if we're making freezer martinis, which we do for our house cocktails, because they're the best that way. We keep those in the freezer, but the bottle we generally keep chilled in the fridge.
Chase, I see exactly where you're coming from. You get this cold right here, and that is a hell of a summer drink right there.
It's just that's all you need. It's just make it cold, drink it just like this.
If you had a little water in there too, it'll open up that apple a lot.
You talking about this?
Okay,
just a couple.
I'll almost get a little apple there. I want to say at the end, I get a little apple. It reminds me of picking up apples.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a brandy note to it.
Yeah.
It shifts the gin just a little. It just kind of shifts it.
Yeah.
You don't lose sight of it though. It's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's still
you
gin.
can still tell it's your gin, but it's definitely a different version of it.
You were talking about the expansion of a lot of things going on down there. Chase, when you win Garden and Gun Best in the South, that's what happens. You expand. Because things are going really well. People love your product. We need to put more of it out there.
That was a big deal for us.
Oh, it should have been a big deal.
No, it was. It was a huge deal for us.
Where were you at when you found out?
I was in Montana hunting mule deer.
Okay.
And my buddies called. They're my business partners. They were at the awards ceremony, and they called. And I mean, this is embarrassing, but we all teared up.
No. This is passion right here.
Prove the concept.
This is a passion here, and so if I was a part of this and I won that award,
I'd
be squalling like a baby. I would. I couldn't help it.
Yeah. No, it was a really big deal, and it put us kind of on the map for a lot of people who had never heard of us, and particularly in the South, where their circulation is huge.
Best magazine in the whole wide world.
I think I think so too. I think it is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Was it even more emotional, almost being nominated or considered because you're even in the realm in a way?
Yeah, I mean, so it goes through a bunch of different phases though. When you enter, it's like you send it into a black hole,
and you forget about it.
And you forget about it.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, you hear, "Hey, you've been down selected to the next semifinal round or quarterfinal round, whatever it is." And so you kind of go through these things, and so you're kind of like the frog in hot water, where you don't really feel it happening. And then next thing,
right?
They're telling us we're in the finals, and we're just kind of like, this is surreal. Like, this can't happen. And maybe we'll get an honorable mention in the spirits category. And then when it all happened, we won not just the spirits category, but the whole thing.
Yeah. Best product in the South.
And I just...
I'm going, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. You have a tendency when you're making gin in the middle of a field in North Mississippi to sometimes go into a dark place where you think you're a crazy person. But when you get that kind of external validation, it is such a relief.
When you're in it day to day, you see your own warts. Like you see everything that's like, no, come on, there's no way I can.
But,
Like,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, but you look at all the different things you went up against. I mean, all the different.
Look, I know it's still
Everything in the world,
surreal
right?
to think about it, and I feel like there's so many people that were probably more deserving than us, but like to get that kind of validation, you know, it takes, I don't know, this pressure off of you a little bit, because it's like, okay, maybe we're not insane, you know.
So two questions off of that. Number one, did you kill a mule deer? And number two, are you pheasant hunting with us this year?
I was about to ask you about the pheasant hunt. I want to go pheasant hunting. Yes, I'm gonna go if I'm invited.
You were invited.
Yes,
Absolutely.
100%. So on the mule deer thing, that's also a little bit embarrassing. Everybody got one but me.
Ooh,
How many votes?
we don't have to. We didn't.
How many
have to.
people were on the trip?
It was me and 4 of my buddies from Accenture. That was my
That's better than 14.
My old career. Yeah, they all got one. But I did get to come home with a bunch of their meat. So
That's fine.
Oh, so you're fine.
That's fine.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. All right, Chase, I got to throw in a shameless plug right here.
Go ahead.
You know, Mark Boutwell and Trip Dyer and Chuck Havers and I own a pheasant hunting camp up in Gregory, South Dakota, which you're going to come hunt with us this year. We have 3 or 4 groups from Oxford. Anyway, great time. We actually had a couple of cancellations. We have a few dates open, November 15 through 18. I'd have to look. It's the week before Thanksgiving, I believe.
The Sunday before Thanksgiving is the 24th because my marathon day.
All right, no. So it's the week. I'll look
So
at
the
a minute.
17th.
Yeah, y'all look while we're talking. Anyway, so we have an opening, Lone Tree Creek Outfitters. So anybody out there, Lone Tree Creek Outfitters, we have a 5-day window. We had a cancellation.
So should I go to the website?
Go to the website.
Okay.
It'll tell you everything you need to know. It is the most fun I've ever had in my life. I grew up hunting, quail without a dog since I was 10 years old, kicking up the 2 cubby that lived behind my house. And then Mark taught me into going up. He forever kept trying to get me to go up pheasant hunt. Always busy with work, never could go. Went 3 years ago and had the time of my life. So much fun. And then actually the lady that owned the Mark had been going there for 15 years. Lady that owned it passed away. Her husband offered it to us. We went and ran the camp last year, and it was just a blast. It's so much fun. Bought it, so we're running it now. So, so no more security work for me for the rest of the year. I'll spend 5 weeks up in Gregory, South Dakota.
Awesome.
And yeah, nothing but a good time up there, and look forward to you hunting with us.
I can't wait. I'm so
one more
excited.
time, website?
Lone Tree Creek Outfitters.com. I think you can go LC or LTCO, but just do Lone Tree Creek Outfitters, and you'll get all the info you need. We're booked for the year except for those 5 days. If anybody wants to roll in on that, we'd love to have you up there.
All ready to go.
And I will be hosting up there. We always have an owner up there. And let me tell you, we hunt on a family, 5-generation family acre farm. We got pheasants everywhere. It is nothing but a good time in the Golden Triangle of pheasant hunting. It's fun. It is my favorite 4 or 5 weeks of the year when I run the camp.
So great.
Yeah, we're gonna drag Chase up there because I want to see him shooting a pheasant.
I've hunted.
I know you hunt.
I'm not completely.
No. I know you
I'm
hunt.
not.
No. So this is Tupelo boy talking to Amory.
Yeah.
I'm Hatley boy.
Yeah,
I know
fine,
you've
yeah.
hunted. Have you ever hunted pheasant?
Not one time in my life.
There's nothing like a rooster getting up right under your feet,
Okay.
cackling and flying up and scaring the crap out of you. Then you got to shoot it. But I'll say this.
All
They're
right.
easier to shoot than the quail that I hunted my entire life.
The quail are hard.
Oh my gosh, yeah, big time.
So what we got in the other vial here?
We have another.
So the other
bottle.
sample we got, this I'm really excited about also. This is more kind of in the bourbon context. The barrel that we got is from a friend of ours, Jonathan Maisano, who has started K-Luke Bourbon, and they frankly amaze me. They have won double gold or double platinum in just about every single competition in North America at this point with one of their products. They're blending stuff in Kentucky. They gave us a barrel that originated from California. It was a Cabernet.
I was going to say it's got to be a wine barrel.
Yeah, it was a Keenan Cabernet, and they received it and rested. They finished, I guess, one of their bourbons in it, which went on to win double gold at the San Francisco.
Oh,
which is a big one.
Yeah, that's one of the top 3 in my book. Yeah.
And so he gave us that barrel, and we've had this in here for 240 days, I think, as of today. And this is going to be the one that we bottle after the Lairds. So it'll come out this year. It'll be available for winter, like hopefully holiday.
So it's a wine and a bourbon barrel.
Yeah, so wine first.
So
it's an oak barrel. Yeah, wine first, Cabernet. And you're going to get both notes when you drink this.
I don't want to
influence.
This has been my most excited thing of the day.
So we're actually, besides y'all doing a little tasting, we're the first people to taste this.
That's right.
Beautiful. I love my job, Chase. I love it.
All right. Well,
we're lucky.
I've stopped trying to.
We've had worse Mondays.
We're so lucky.
We've had worse Mondays.
Yes, we have.
I'm going to pour yours first. Okay. Probably not supposed to pour mine.
I think I'm a little light over here.
Luck. How are we doing there?
Oh, yeah.
Heavy gin nose.
Yeah. I'm still getting the gin on the nose.
I mean, I would definitely tell you it's gin.
So I get something.
I've been tasting this all along. I'm excited for y'all to taste this.
So when you say all along, how many times have you tasted this barrel?
10, probably.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. How often?
Every 6 weeks, probably.
Wow. So you're going to start 6 weeks.
So when you do it early on, you know it's not ready. What are you looking for?
Early on, we're not doing it.
Okay.
But, I mean, let's just say we won't taste it maybe at all or one time in the first 4 months.
Okay,
right?
that makes sense.
Because, I guess
sure.
It's not going to do anything. But then beyond that, maybe, and your frequency increases as it gets older.
Sure.
Because
it starts changing a little.
That's right. You also get more scared that you're going to screw up an entire barrel.
So I get juniper, but then there's something else, and I cannot pin it. There is
on the nose.
Yeah, there's something else that comes in back end, and I declare I'm not the best nose guy. 5 times broken nose, 3 times broken nose.
Yeah,
whatever.
Nosing is hard too, especially with high proof spirits neat, because you're getting so much alcohol. Like,
God, that is a bite on the front. I don't mean bad. I just mean bite.
Pop.
It's a heavy tingle on the front.
At the top.
I'm getting wine like crazy.
I am too.
The Cabernet
that's why I
full on this thing. And I'm a red wine guy.
So let me tell you right now. Usually a finish lingers with me here. My finish is still on the roof of my mouth right now.
Yes, it is in the front.
Everything
and the top,
is front and jumping up.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. I still have it. I still have a tingle right now.
If you love red wine, that is a drink right there. That is interesting.
That's when I said what I said. I was excited for you because it to me it hammers me with wine taste.
It is cowed all day.
Right, it really does that, and which is shocking to me because it's.
Ooh.
It overpowers.
I'm not so sure that's not my favorite thing you ever put out, bud.
It's really good,
so
right?
good.
You don't taste. Here's what's crazy: the nose is gin heavy.
Oh yeah, no heavy. Yeah.
But the actual palate is not gin at all.
No.
There's no gin in that to me.
I know. I still get.
It is a base layer only.
I still get a little gin on it, but
I mean,
not
sure,
a lot.
but
Right. But no, that is.
Yeah,
that is more interesting than the other by far, and that was phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah.
And this is, I'm pointing to the bourbon one.
Yeah, I mean, they're everyone tells its own story.
Nuts.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about these things is we literally. That's why we don't, like you just pointed out early on. We don't put a limit on how long. It's like just let it tell it.
Till it talks to you, right?
Yeah, let it tell us how long it needs to be.
Bingo.
Here's what I love about gin is that these things are all incredible, whereas bourbon that's finished in some other barrel, I have hardly any interest. It is so rare.
I struggle with those.
That I want, hey, this is the bourbon finished in a sherry or wine. I go, I'm good. I'm out. I just want bourbon.
Well, I mean, as a purist, as a gin purist, kind of, I love these. But I also understand why a gin purist would have a problem.
No, I was going to say,
with what we're doing.
Other gin people are going to look at you and go, "What the hell are you?"
Yeah,
doing?
you're so.
Why are you doing it?
So you're going to be judged in certain circles.
Well, but what I'm telling you is that from the beginning, I told you, like, we look at this as an on-ramp.
I'm telling you right now, this one is award worthy. It needs to
If
be.
this we just had and the dry gin is on a counter, I know which one I'm grabbing.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
put it that way. Like, it is
So when's this coming out?
later this year.
Yeah, this one. So the first one that'll come out will be the Laird's, and I think we're going to bottle that.
No, and I'm all in on that. I would drink that
and
all
then
day long.
after that, I think we're going to try to get this out by
I saw a little bit left.
by Christmas holiday time.
This is a fall Christmas. This is sitting by the fire.
Yeah.
The heavy wine notes,
Yeah.
the dried fruit in it.
So this one has no obligations from any other buyer, so this will only be available through the distillery.
Oh wow!
And
I was about to ask.
We may send a little bit to our distributor that fulfills our website orders.
Yeah.
But even that.
Whenever you do this, we will do a Christmas episode at the distillery, and
But so just
Yes,
this-
we will.
yes, that's the plan.
yeah, but this one will be like a holiday edition.
That's beautiful. That
Because
really
it
is.
doesn't taste like a holiday.
Right.
It's. I mean, look, if Costco's already got all the Christmas stuff out,
Yeah.
we can have the Christmas gin here,
Yeah.
even though it's 89 degrees outside.
Right.
It's going to be 73 in the next 2 days. So
Is it?
life's good. Yeah. I just came from.
You're
the
wearing a gin T-shirt.
Oh,
I do like that. Nice touch, Steve.
Yeah. the gin.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. So I'm in the coffee shop this morning. Somebody immediately turns around. This guy, y'all's age, looks at me and goes, "Oh, nice T-shirt." And his wife immediately turns around and goes, "Whoa, oh, that's in good shape." And so they're like, "Does anybody ever say anything?" I'm like, literally, I will be overseas in a country that you've never heard of and wear this shirt and somebody walk up and go,
So is that an original?
"No, it's not an original."
No.
And here's why. Our friend Chan Patel,
Yes.
who's a friend of the podcast, great guy. Chan is going to build the Gin Hotel at the side of the Gin, and there will be a bar and a rooftop bar
Well, let's
there.
just say he has an interest in Wonderbird also.
There's
like
no
that.
doubt.
That's a nice
yeah,
tone.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I mean,
So Chan is coming
an
with it.
actual
So
Yeah.
interest.
So maybe Chan one day gave me about 30, 40 T-shirts and said, "Hey, give these guys in the Bourbon Club," and we all walked off. And I cannot tell you, I never ever wear this shirt. If I
Don't
go out,
get it
if I
covered.
go out in public, somebody's going to say something to me. And for you youngins out there, you may not understand it, but for the little older folks, the gin is history. It is a big part of Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah.
I want to do episodes over time talking about some of your travels and places, but how many countries have you been in?
That's a great question. I'd have to count. It's a bunch.
Ballpark.
20, 30, 40,
Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot.
I bet it's 50.
Yeah, it's more than that.
There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
What's the longest you spent in one country over
Was in Baghdad, was in Iraq for about 5 months back in 2021.
Okay.
2020 and 2021. Was not as fun as Morocco in 2017 for 5 months.
That sounds better.
Oh, Morocco is a blast. I love it right now. But, you know, the funny thing is so I've been doing this retired gig for a while. And it's funny, every time I travel, you know, I'm always looking for bourbon. I typically travel with a couple of bottles. I just got back from Cambodia. I thought I would be shut out. I did not think I would find a bourbon in Cambodia. I found a Blanton's Green Label for $85.
Come on.
Yes. No.
What?
No, yeah. I mean,
How does that work?
I know it's weird. There's a whole story to tell with the wholesaler, me talking with an interpreter to the store owner, and I mean all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, he goes, oh no, I have more. I'm like, oh, what do you have? He goes, I have more expensive bottles than that. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to get into some crazy stuff. And he gets on the phone with this guy, and anyway, nothing ever came up besides I got one bottle of Blanton's Green Label
That
for
works.
$85, and it retails for $150.
So that's a win.
Yeah. But I've had good luck in Greece this year. Brussels, I killed it. It was awesome. Got some Mictors. We actually tried the Mictors or whatever. I
Oh, that
never-
was where that bottle
Yep,
was from.
nope, that's it. So
Oh my
I
God.
keep thinking I will get shut out because as soon as I roll into the country, I'm talking to people in the embassy, hey, I'm hunting bourbon, and I always think I'll be shut out. I have not been shut out yet. I have found a bottle of bourbon, a little unique or different everywhere I've gone. It's coming one of these days, but we'll see.
We did the Buffalo Trace barrel,
Yeah.
the St. Leo.
It is
Oh,
fantastic.
St. Leo's
It
Lost
is
Pizza.
fantastic.
Oh, I love that.
So
one.
we
It
used
is
our gin in that
fantastic.
too.
And I was supposed to go on that pick, and I was out of the country.
Yeah, we
and
missed
it.
you. I know you were supposed to go, and I'm sad that you weren't there because it was really fun. But that I don't know.
It's a great time, right? I mean, the barrel picks, to me, anytime you do a barrel pick, it's almost like you're getting to the inner workings of a distillery. You're getting some of their best stuff.
Well, that's right. They rolled out 5 barrels for us. I mean,
Yeah.
so you got to do kind of you're not influenced by everybody because because we definitely did not talk to each other
Yeah.
when we were picking, and that was kind of important to me. But
All right, so here's my question to you. So we had Josh Bodie.
yeah,
We had Emily and Dan
Yeah.
from St. Leo. You.
yeah.
I can't remember who else went on that.
Well, Seth went.
Oh, Seth. Yep.
Aaron went.
Seth Weinberg has a great palate. Buddy up in Nashville. He's got a really nice vintage bottle shop up there, Aaron and High Cotton or whatever. Who did you think had the best palate? And I can't put that pressure on
I don't really know because that's the whole point is that we kind of kept our opinions apart. And I think I encourage that just because of our
Right.
process. But I don't know. We all kind of it was between 2 different barrels. And what's weird is that they all came from nearly the same part of the same rick
Right.
house. So that's, I guess, where I was going with that is that the character of every barrel is so weird. I don't understand exactly how one can be that different from another when I think it came from like maybe the same tree even.
Well, no. So we've talked about this. I mean, like these distillers, they will have their favorite. They call them their honey spots.
Yeah.
It'll be 4 Roses. You can get online and you can start researching. You find Rick House, this
Area.
3rd floor. This, or whatever. I mean, that's where you get their juice. Those guys have the little hidden spots, and it's weird that some of the bourbons they think mature the best in these little hot spots right there.
Yeah.
And which, and again, it goes to, I love barrel picks. They are so much fun. Chase, you said we might have something coming down the road.
We do. Keep everybody abreast of this. I don't have specifics, but if you're interested in barrel picks or just having a great experience, hanging out with us, whatever it is that might suit your fancy, just stay alert. We got something coming really soon with what is considered pretty special. So I'm excited about it. So
I like it.
As we get going and get close to that. So people that are looking for the bottles in front of us in general, hanging out at the distillery, kind of set everybody up. Where do they go? What do they do? Where is it?
Well, so if you're looking for our barrel releases, I'd say the best place to find out when they're happening and where they're available is on Instagram for the most part. Wonderbird Spirits is our tag.
Okay.
What is this Instagram y'all talk about?
Yeah, I know.
I'm so lost.
I know. I'm ashamed that we're talking about social media platforms.
No. You should not be. I'm just old school. I'm goofy, whatever.
Well, I'm with you on that. But it is the best place to find out when we're dropping a barrel project. We'll put it out there. I think the next couple are going to be mostly exclusively available at the distillery. If you want to come out and do a tour or a tasting, I would say if you're wanting to come out for bar service, look for our Thursday night reservations on our website. It's open table. You can reserve. It's a very intimate environment where we do specials and great cocktails. Other than that, you can come out anytime with an appointment for a tour and a tasting. The tours and tastings are complimentary. The cocktails are not complimentary, but they're great.
Of course they are.
What hours are those available?
Typically we would schedule those between 10 and 5,
Okay.
but we're flexible. I mean, if people are coming in from out of town for football games,
You'll
or
make
whatever,
an exception.
Yeah, we can work with you. But also, if you're coming in town for a football weekend and you want to have a private party the day before the football game, reach out to us. We got packages for that also, and that's something we're excited about. So. Yeah.
Does St. Leo still have some of your Buffalo Trace?
Yeah, St. Leo still has quite a few bottles of that, and it's on their hidden menu.
Their black book.
Oh,
Their black book menu, and they have a really awesome cocktail with it that I had never tried until a couple weeks ago. I didn't know it existed, and I went and asked to look at the black book, and I ordered. It was a Sazerac, I think, with it. It blew my mind. It was great. I've been back 3 times for it since.
Yeah, if you go to St. Leo, ask for the book. It looks more special than anybody can get it. But yeah, I've had a couple times. I've had Spencer walk up and lay it down. Everybody's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like,
so
anybody can have that. I just
let me say this right now: if there's a bourbon on the book, it was picked at that table right over there.
Okay.
I have a tasting crew. We only take the best barrel picks out there, and we put it on that menu, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
And Chase, I will just have to throw this out here right now. A little Crittenden.
Crittenden's cut above bottle and bond bourbon whiskey.
We might be headed down that road sometime here soon.
Okay, got that going on as well. Well, Tom, appreciate all the bottles, all the experiments, especially those 2 special releases you pull straight from the barrel. They are fantastic. Thanks for allowing us to taste those, and they'll be available at large here soon.
Yeah, soon. Thanks for having me. I've loved talking to you guys about this. It's awesome.
Tom Alexander, Bourbon South, here with you another week, and again with you next week as well. Again, weekly. We'll have stuff on social media, and then be on the lookout. We have some pretty cool stuff coming here in the next few weeks and months. So I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again next week.